Welcome to Widowed Too Soon, where real-life widows and widowers come together to share their stories of survival, faith, and the journey of finding hope in the darkest of times. Whether you're newly widowed or have been on this journey for some time, each week we're here to provide you with inspiration, practical advice, and the reassurance that you are not alone. You were made to not only survive, but thrive. And now here's your host, a woman who has walked this path herself, who finds solace in writing, joy in speaking, and freedom in dancing like nobody's watching. Michelle Bader Ebersole.
Welcome to Widowed Too Soon. This is Michelle Bader Ebersole, and I'm so excited to be back again with another guest. It's been so much fun having all different types of guests. I know I've gotten a lot of good feedback that you guys are loving that too. So today I have with me Carol Sigler. How are you, Carol?
Good.
I'm so glad you're here. I think we met through TikTok originally. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I was like, I feel like that. I have to always go back and remember, how did I meet? Was it TikTok? Was it Instagram? It was one of those social media places. And Carol volunteered to share her story. And so here we are. Carol, can you tell everybody where you're coming from? What part of the country?
North Dakota.
North Dakota. Is it snowy there right now?
It's actually raining and it's going to turn to snow.
Okay.
So
yeah. It is cold here, but it's raining, not snowing. But have you grown up in North Dakota like your whole life? Or okay.
I've lived here for the most part all my life except for 2 years in between, and love it. And I just came back.
Yeah,
that's
awesome. Well, I know you have quite a story, so we're going to get right into that. So let's back up, do a little rewind on your life and explain to us. Tell us about meeting your first husband.
I actually met my first husband. I was young through a friend, and that marriage brought 2 children, a son and a daughter. They were 3 and 4 when their dad up and packed a U-Haul and left us.
Oh.
He was an alcoholic.
Oh no.
And just not a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And my kids were only, like I said, 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a trying time for me.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I didn't take time for me. And I met my second husband, which was a worse husband.
Oh no.
And yeah. And
wait, so how old were you when you got married the first time?
I was 24.
Okay, so pretty young. And then what about well, then you met your second husband.
I met my second. I was about 32.
Okay.
But we were together for 5 years before we got married. And I thought I was making the right decision, and it just wasn't good. And I divorced him. And that is when I met my third husband, Tom. And Tom was actually, this is kind of a unique story.
Okay.
I was actually a CNA in a nursing home. And Tom was actually coming there as a resident. He had West Nile.
What's that? I'm not familiar with that.
The one with the mosquito bite that can cause death.
Oh no, I've never heard of that.
Paraplegic.
Wow.
It can do a lot of damage. It was back in 2003 when that was more common at that time. And when I met him, he had come there for rehab. But when he came, he couldn't even sit up.
Oh.
And he got better, and he actually, I was going through my divorce. He was going through a divorce, and he told me how he felt, and everybody knew it except me.
Yeah.
And we start seeing each other, and we were planning, we had gotten engaged, and during that year, a lot went happened, and then he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer that metastasized to his lymph nodes. Tom was a very great guy. He played the guitar. Some of the songs he would play, sing to me, a Christian.
Sweet. Yeah.
Just a really great and loving guy that never walked again, but never complained.
That's amazing.
And the doctor only gave him 3 months to live.
Wow.
And he survived 4.5 years.
Oh, wow.
With a lot of struggles, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of treatments. And I can't even remember all the treatments. Because he'd be in remission for a couple months.
Yeah.
And then he'd back in. And it was what my kids would say was their dad. Because they were around the 6th grade, 7th grade age.
Yeah.
And he passed away when my son was just being a senior.
Okay.
And just really went through a lot. And he went into the nursing home March 20th. And I know other people say, how do you remember the date? Well, it was my mom's birthday.
Okay.
And my son was actually diagnosed with a benign brain tumor at the age of 10.
Oh, wow.
And so, just so much. And 2010, I say, is one of the worst years of my life. Tom was diagnosed with the tumor last went to his brain. My son's benign brain tumor came back within these months of each other.
Whoa. Yeah, that's a lot.
It was a lot. And I tell you, it was crazy. So here we are, March 20th, when Tom went into the nursing home. March 22nd, Zach and my son and I are heading to Rochester to the Mayo Clinic to find out when his surgery is going to be held. So, beginning up, and then my husband couldn't even go in the same nursing home in our town because they were full. So it was like the first week in April. My husband Tom could be in the same town as us in the nursing home.
Wow.
And so April 22nd, Tom took his last breath. So I'm sending out funeral thank yous. The next week I'm sending high school graduation announcements. I had no time to grieve. I think I actually grieved before Tom passed.
Yeah, anticipatory grief, yeah.
Right, I just went into survival mode because I didn't have time.
Right.
Because and then the day after my son graduated in May, so the next day after graduation, we're headed to Mayo Clinic.
Wow.
Which we spent most of the summer there.
Wow.
So it wasn't until fall when I could actually take a break.
Yeah.
And grieve. Because I was in such survival mode.
Right. That's a lot of stuff at once.
A lot. But I had a great family. His mom, she was an angel. Very supportive of me and my kids. Just a wonderful lady. So it was like a year and a half after Tom passed away. She was like, Carol, you're too young to be a widow. You need a man in your life.
And this is Tom's mom saying this?
Yes.
Is that who you
Yes.
said? Oh, wow.
She was, like I said, she was an awesome lady. She was always supportive of us. It's crazy for someone to think this, but she was just very happy for me, and she just wanted me to be happy again. And I'm like, no. She's like, just try it. I'm like, okay. So I went online dating, and that is when I met Kurt, my last husband. Now, Kurt, when we met, I mean, here he was 4 hours away from the other side of the state. And, but he was closer to where my mom lived. So when we met, and I never believed in numbers per se, but with that one, it was 11, 11, 11. And we met, and we just kind of knew it. We did it pretty fast, but yeah, I moved 4 hours away. My kids were both in college, so they were, living their own life. And I met Kurt, and we moved in probably 4 months after. And we waited for a few years to get married. And his kids and my kids, and we all went to Vegas and got married.
Oh, wow.
And 6/16/16. And he was a great guy too. I mean, he was like, I always had butterflies in my stomach. Aww. Every time I think about him. He helped me get my confidence back. Because I lost it so long ago before that. Right. And he was just very, very supportive. And yeah, he called me Keebler. I'm short. Keebler. I'm 4'8".
Oh, you are? That's so cute. 4'8", wow.
Well, I was like 4'10.5". I've shrunk.
Yeah, that's so cute.
And so, Kurt would call me Keebler. So he called me Keebler in front of his friends, his coworkers, everybody. And this one guy finally said, "Is that her name?"
Right?
He's like, "No." He's like, "Okay, I have to stop calling her Keebler because obviously nobody's getting the joke."
Yeah.
He was just, yeah, he was a jokester. We went hunting, like, he goes, when he asked me to go out, I'm like, okay, this is 4 hours away. I'm like,
right.
I'm not going home, so you're gonna have to find me a place to crash.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what are you doing the next day? He's like, well, deer hunting. It's deer hunting season. I guess I'm going deer hunting with you.
Nice.
So I went deer hunting with him. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep. I wasn't afraid to try things.
That's awesome. Did you feel any grief, about Tom? Like when you started dating Kurt, was there grief that was brought up?
That's why it's weird. No. I didn't. Okay. I've lost 2 husbands, and we'll get onto it with Kurt. And with Tom, I think because it wasn't a fast, it wasn't sudden.
Right.
We had years to process. We didn't know when.
Yeah.
We did not know when he was going to pass away, but we kind of knew he was one day not be able to beat this. And I just think I gradually grieved before.
Yeah.
That by the time it ended, it was like a sign of relief.
Yeah.
And I know that's hard for people to understand that.
Right. I think some listeners will get that. Those who are caretakers and all of that can understand what you're saying. There is a sense of relief. Yes.
Yeah. And it just, because you see them suffer.
Yeah.
And
it's horrible.
So hard.
Yeah.
So hard.
Yeah. Yes.
That, when I met Kurt, I feel like, almost like Tom maybe showed me to him. You know, because they were so different but so alike, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so when I met Kurt and after we got married, it wasn't easy.
Right.
So he was older than me, but he didn't have kids until he was older. And he was raising 3 kids on his own. The mom was convenient mom. She did not have custody. He had custody of the 3 kids. And the oldest was 11 and 7-year-old twins.
Wow.
So I was starting over.
Yeah, you had already raised your kids and then you started over with younger kids. What was that like for you?
It was very hard.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be, I was pretty, how can you say it, blinded. Yeah. I realized, okay, this is a little bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. So you guys dated for a while. How were your kids through all this process, since they considered Tom like a dad? How were they with Kurt when you started dating him?
They were concerned, but they just want to make sure.
Yeah.
That
protective.
That I was going to make the right decision. They just wanted to make sure I was happy. Were they mad at first? Kinda. Because they also knew my prior history of men. And Kurt didn't drink, like, maybe once a year. And so that also kind of helped with my kids' trusting in him.
Yeah.
And that I was making better choices and all the way around.
Yeah.
And then Kurt got sick. August 16th, he actually told us we need to I was sick too. This is 2021. It was COVID. I actually thought he was going to get home sooner than myself recovering.
You were both in the hospital?
I didn't end up in the hospital.
Okay, but he did.
Mine wasn't as bad. His was severe. I think his oxygen level was like at 88. And he was on a BiPAP. He was like that for 2 weeks, and then they put him on the vent. And he made that decision without me. Because he knew how we both felt. We both said, no this, no that. We talked about it. We had a will made a year before that. We talked about our health. We talked about different things, which a lot of marriages don't. I mean, Tom and I never even talked about different things.
Right. But you'd been through it before, so you knew it was important.
Right. And so I just made different decisions and different, and so when Kurt passed, he was on the vent 3 weeks, and everything was shutting down. And the hospital had called me twice that day, and they said, okay, you need to come see him, and we just don't think he's going to make it. That broke me. Yeah. And he was on the vent, and I just said to him, he couldn't, like, he could hear me, but he couldn't hear me. He couldn't talk to me or anything. And I said, I cannot pull the plug.
Right.
I don't want you to go get better. I just, like, all I could do is cry and hold his hand, and it just, and within 5 minutes of that, he passed away. And I was so numb.
Yeah.
I did not drive home.
Right.
One of Kurt's friends was coming to Bismarck anyway, and so he took me home, and they went and got the car the next day, him and another friend, because they just knew I just could not. I was not in any way, shape, or form to drive.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how I did it.
Right.
I did not think it was, and both husbands didn't want to be cremated, so they're both buried. And with Kurt, it was just I died. I died with him. And every day it's like, I'm still awake. I'm still awake. I'm still awake. And I and then I was like, am I dreaming? And I had all the widow fog.
Yeah.
And finally, after about 4 months, I finally woke up and said, okay, I need to do this. I need to live life to the fullest.
Yes.
Until I take my last breath.
Right.
And I need to start living. But it took months.
Was there a specific thing that made that change, that switch in you, or just you just woke up and like, okay, I'm ready?
It's just basically, I just woke up and basically said, hey, I'm still alive.
Yeah, there's a reason.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
And I can't keep doing this.
Right.
I was wishing for death, and it's like, I can't.
Right. Did you ever have those thoughts like, I can't believe I've lost 2 husbands? Like, I can't believe that I've been widowed twice? I imagine those would be some of the things you'd think.
Right, because Kurt and I talked about traveling, talked about he was actually vacationing out and retiring 2 months before he passed.
Wow. So then
and we both said, we both said we're gonna die together.
Right.
You know, we said we won't be able to live without each other, and we're gonna just die together. And he said 20 years. I said, only 20? And that was like not even a year later.
Wow. You go through all of that grief, secondary losses that comes with it, that you're supposed to be retired and traveling the world together and all the things that you dreamed of. So it's hard to make sense of it.
And I was like, how can I keep going? How can I go on? Because, he was just, he was my world.
Right. So 4 months later, you decide to live life again. So what does that look like for you when you say you decided to live life again? What changed? I mean, I know it changed internally, but what did you start doing differently?
I started going just even to coffee with some friends, and
that's good.
Decided Well, about a year after that, I had to make another decision. So the twins were juniors when he passed away, and the oldest one was 20. And so basically, the oldest was causing a rift in the family. I never did take charge of the twins. I just kind of lived with me, and I kind of took care of them. And basically, I was getting forced out of the home, even though according to the will, I could stay there till I die.
Yeah.
But with the chaos, I left. And the twins were 18. And like I said, I had no legal way, shape, or form. Their mom should have taken them anyway. And she caused a lot of trouble before I moved out. But she couldn't do anything legally because I had no legal rights to the kids. Plus, they were 18.
Yeah.
So then I moved. And I was starting to see somebody. And that is when was very hard. I thought it was cheating on my husband.
Okay. So the second time after Kurt died and you dated again, then you started to feel grief when you were dating. Yeah.
Then I felt I was cheating on him.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling.
It was a struggle. And then we broke up, and I moved to Fargo a little over a year ago because my daughter was like, "So, Mom," she wanted me to move to Fargo before this, to where she's at. And I'm like, I didn't want to move to Fargo. But I realized it was what I was going through when I lived here before.
Yeah.
It wasn't the town, it was my circumstances.
Right.
And so then I moved to Fargo. I've tried to date, and I'm still having struggles.
Yeah. With the grief
been
part
3
of
years.
it, is it the grief part, or there's just like nobody good out there that you found so far?
Probably both.
Probably a little combination. Yeah.
A little combination. And I'm picky, and it's just been a real struggle of like, I don't know if I can, I don't know. I just feel broken, and I'm trying to mend. I found a church.
Oh, that's good.
And I have some really good Christian friends, and so I feel like that aspect of my life has really grown and changed, and amazing, actually.
Yeah.
And so I'm just grateful for that.
But it's a process, and I know you also had something else really hard happen to you. Can you share that with us?
I'm sorry?
Oh, I said you also had something else really hard happen to you. Can you share that with us?
Yes. 7 months ago, my son was found deceased in his apartment.
Oh my goodness.
And we are not sure how long he was there. Had an autopsy, and according to the autopsy, it's a forced blunt head trauma.
Oh.
So I'm not sure. Being with his benign tumor, he had seizures, but not often. So we don't even know. On the autopsy, it didn't show nothing.
Oh wow! So
it just showed a forced blunt head trauma, accidental death. He was fine though. I mean, that's what so weird. It's just he would tell me if he didn't feel right. He would call me, text me, whatever, and say, "Hey, gotta get me in. I'm not feeling well."
Yeah.
And so so my daughter and I are struggling.
Oh, I can imagine.
You know,
so much grief, so much loss.
Very sudden. And that probably has even something to do with even wanting to date again. Like I said, I've been on a few dates, but nothing. No.
Right. So what helped you? Oh, go ahead.
Well, my son was 31, and he would passed away just a month before his 32nd birthday. But yeah, it's just weird how. So after I lost him, I went through all my grief stages again. Like even with Tom. And it's like a video's playing in my brain of how I lost Tom, a video of how I lost Kurt. It's like they replay, even with my mom, because my mom passed away between my one husband and my other husband.
Wow.
So when I lost Kurt, yeah, I didn't even have my mom to lean on. Because my dad actually passed away as a kid. I was 11.
Oh, wow.
When he passed away. So I've known grief for a long time.
Yeah.
And my mom, I'm like a generation skip. My parents didn't meet till they were 41.
Oh, wow.
They were 41 and 42 when they got married. And so I'm an only child. And so my dad was 55 and he had a massive heart attack and died just, instantly. So I've known grief for a very long time. And that's probably why, and maybe that's part of my reasoning when Tom passed too, is I'd seen how my mom grieved. She didn't show it much. Because it was that generation.
Right, yep. You didn't talk about it, you kept it inside.
You didn't talk about it, and so yeah, I've had that replaying in my brain. It's 7 months. It doesn't seem like it's that long. It's really, really hard.
So with all of the grief you've been through, what keeps you going?
Everybody asks me that. Everybody asks me.
Yes, because I'm sure we're all wondering, what is it that keeps you going?
God.
Yep. 100%.
He's been my strength.
Yeah.
It's really good friends.
Yes.
That have been very supportive for me.
Yeah. Because that's a lot of stuff. Have you done any grief counseling or regular counseling, or what have you done to help you?
I haven't.
I highly recommend. So good to work through those things. We should do grief recovery. I think you'd love it. What I do, and I don't know if you've heard me talk about it on some of the podcasts, like grief recovery is where we go through, it's 7 weeks one-on-one, or I do groups, but mostly one-on-one. And you actually graph out your whole life. You go through every loss you've ever had, and you've had a lot. And then we say that grief is like, you've got a backpack, and every time you have a loss, it's like a rock going in it. And when you lose a spouse or a child, it's like a boulder. So it's very hard to move. So we want to unpack those. And so with grief recovery, we pick your biggest loss first, and then we go through that relationship. And so you'd probably have several that we would go through. And you actually graph out your whole relationship, and then you write a letter to that person. And it's something that brings such relief. Like, I had already gone through 2 years of grief work about my late husband, Luke. And when I went through grief recovery, I realized I had a lot more. And it definitely helped me to to bring that stuff to the surface and then say it in a safe space with someone listening. So anyways, that's something we could explore later if you ever wanted to.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, I've been doing it a couple years now. So it's been around about 20, no, more than that. I think it's closer to 40. It's been around a long time. I'll show you the book. Anyone watching can see this.
Yeah.
Get on Amazon, $7.99.
Okay.
The Grief Recovery Handbook. And I'll send you all the information about the program. We can talk later about that, but it just sounds like something that would be very helpful to someone who's had so much loss, because we're actually, graphing, like just for an example, anyone who's seeing, like, this is my loss history graph in a nutshell. Like, you go through and you assign like how much grief you felt in the moment, so you have longer lines. And anyways, it's so good. I recommend it to everyone. So that's why I was asking if you'd done any work, because it is something that helps a lot of people. So
I know different ones have asked, they actually when I lost even Tom, nobody brought it up.
Wow.
Nobody.
Crazy.
Even with Kurt, nobody ever brought up that I should go to grief counseling or anything. No.
Wow. That's interesting.
And it wasn't until I was so the guy I was seeing in between there is the one that got me on TikTok. That's how I even learned about all this stuff with grief and
right. There's so much. Yeah. So much more education than there used to be.
That I know. And so I thought about doing grief
share.
Mm-hmm. And and then I hear some people have good luck with it, some people don't, and so I was kind of like, what do I do?
Mm-hmm. And I think that Grief Share is a great program. Grief recovery is different in that we're actually graphing your life and like going deep, like one-on-one. But I've heard Grief Share is like a great place to meet other people, who are kind of in the same boat as you and that kind of thing. And it's a good like group thing. But if want to go deep and like actually work through your own stuff, then Grief Recovery, and I'll link this for everyone who's like, I want to know more about that. I have a website that tells all about it. Anyways, didn't mean to, there's my little commercial, but no, I was seriously wondering what you had done for grief work, because you've had a lot of grief in your life. And so it's really important. I still see, like, I went to grief counseling, I think for 2 years, and I've seen my regular counselor for like 16, and I still see her once a month. It's just, I think counseling is an amazing, amazing thing to do, to have a safe place to talk about anything. So anyways, but let's get back to you.
And that's kind of maybe why, like, I live pretty rural in those times too.
Yeah.
So I don't know what so I don't know if they even have to maybe go to a bigger town.
Yeah, could be. Might
to get them. Because it was, pretty small town.
Yes.
That I lived in. So that could be a problem too.
Yeah, that could be part of it. So with, your grief and loss you've been through, were there ever any like Bible verses or songs or specific things that helped you?
Just, I guess, what their songs that they always sing. It gives me some peace. Kurt, it was funny. He, I think, knew he was going to pass. And so he had his songs what he wanted to play for the funeral.
Okay.
He told me in text, I said, quit doing that. You're going to be okay. But so when I hear those songs,
that's special.
They're special.
Yeah.
So like God's Country was one of him.
Oh yeah, I love that. It's cute.
And it was funny. We were at one of his friends' funerals, and they played, oh Lord, I can't remember it. It'll come to me.
Okay.
but he's like, I want that song played at my funeral. And it was like, why can't I think of it? Don't you hate that?
Yeah, like right when you're supposed to remember it. That's okay. If it comes to you, you can tell me.
And with Tom, he, even though my name is Carol, he always called me Sweet Caroline.
Oh, cute.
So he always sang that song to me.
Oh, I love that. That's cute.
And he'd play it when we're at the jukebox, or he'd play it like even in our hometown little games.
Yeah.
Basketball games, they'd play music in between, and they always played Sweet Caroline.
Oh, that's cute.
And so he'd always grab my hand and hold it and sing to me, and yeah.
That's sweet. Oh, I love that. That's a good memory. So what do you think has been the most challenging thing about being widowed, and for you, widowed twice?
Just of not having your partner.
Yeah.
You can't say my husband, my
right.
It's missing. It's just you feel lost.
Yeah.
That's how I felt both times. I felt very lost. Because they're just supposed to be there with you all the time, and when you don't have that, you feel lost and you feel incomplete.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen a lot of, or felt a lot of.
Yeah. What advice would you give to a brand new widow?
Grace.
Yes.
If all you can do is get up in the morning and just get dressed,
yeah,
you're doing fine. Just getting out of bed. Now, me, I always got out of bed, and if I didn't do anything else other than that, I at least got out of bed.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly. So I'm writing a book for widows, and the first chapter, it's called Widow Goals, and it's steps to finding peace when you lose your spouse. And the first chapter is called Get Out of Bed. And that's all it's about, is like literally that's it. If that's all you do, that's great. Because sometimes that's all you can do in the beginning is get out of bed. Like you can't really function.
Thanks for listening to Widowed Too Soon with Michelle Bader Ebersole. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, rate and review. And we'd also love for you to join our Widowed Too Soon community on Facebook.
Right.
See you next time.
That was like my only comfort was in bed.
Yeah.
I did that a lot after I lost Kurt. I went to my room early in the evening, and not that I slept long. For several months, I got 3 hours of sleep.
Oh wow, that's
not enough. Couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep because with Kurt, his presence in bed, just that he was there,
right,
was comfort.
Yeah.
And when we first were together, he worked 4 days on and 4 days off, and then he'd switch from days to nights. So those 4 nights, I did not sleep.
Right.
Hardly at all. And so when he went to the hospital, I was like, okay, I can't sleep without you. You're going to have to get well so you can come home so I can sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I lost him, I tried the pillow. I tried different things.
Yep.
Nothing worked.
Are you able to sleep now?
Yeah.
Good.
Finally. It took over a year.
Yeah.
I'd say it was actually almost 2 years before I had a full night's sleep.
Wow. Yeah.
I kept waking up. I kept waking up. And then after I lost my son,
oh yeah,
I'd say I'm finally starting to sleep at night. It was about 5 months.
Yeah, it's probably.
But I kept waking up.
Your mind just keeps going and going, and all of that.
It doesn't shut off.
Right. Yeah. That can be a common thing. So I started not sleeping well when Luke was sick. I didn't want him to die during the night. So I would just stare at him and not sleep. And then it took me a good, probably a couple of years to be able to sleep. I still have sleeping troubles, but not like I used to. But it's very common with those widowed and any loss to not be able to sleep very well. And that's horrible because then you feel awful the next day.
Right. And like with Tom, when he got sick in between, he would be on hospice and he would get off of hospice. He would get on hospice. He would graduate from hospice. I mean, that's how his cancer came and left. So we got a hospital bed in between. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget this when he's like, I want to sleep with you. I said, I know, but you need extra help. I said, well, there's an extra twin bed in the basement. I'll bring that one up and I can sleep in the same room.
Oh.
And he was just like,
oh, sweet.
It just really, really, gave him comfort that I could actually stay be in the same room. So, anyone that's going through someone who is sick, think of ideas to be close with your loved ones.
Yeah. Yeah, it means a lot to them. That's awesome. Well, you have been through a lot, and the fact that you're here sharing your story says a lot about you, that you want to help other people because, you're here. There's a purpose for your life. What kind of things, have you found any, new hobbies or, newfound love since, you've been widowed again, and anything that gives you joy?
Well, I volunteer at a food pantry.
Oh, very cool.
And they also have a ministry.
Okay.
My friends. Actually, it's kind of funny. When I moved to Fargo, I had 3 goals: to find a church, do some volunteering, and join a gym.
Oh, awesome goals.
And I did all 3.
Nice.
And so they have a ministry. They're ministers by trade, but they're not in a pastor type church right now. They do everything. What you say, they're like missionaries.
Cool.
And just doing outreach.
Yeah, I love that.
And so I'm kind of part of their team and kind of give people my story.
Yeah.
Some of it is the widowhood and how I'm going closer to God and just different things. And they really think I should eventually do things more with widows and widowers.
Yeah, I could see that. Definitely. I mean, and you are. Today you're doing this. Maybe it's something in the future. We're looking to expand all of our local groups. Maybe you'd want to be a leader in that. And that's just FYI to everybody out there. So we have my nonprofit Widow Goals, and we have a group here in Vancouver, Washington, and we've now launched in 6 locations. And we are looking in January for people that want to lead all over the country. So that might be something in the future. There's so many things that you can do that just take a little bit of time and, just a heart for helping people. That's why I started on TikTok. It was just like, if I had to go through this, I want to help other people who have been through it. And that was kind of how my ministry started, was just that way. And then it turned into podcast and other things, but we can help wherever we're at. And I love seeing that you're doing that. And I wrote this down because I think this is so good. Everybody should write this down. 3 goals: find a church, volunteer your time, and find a gym. Those are 3 amazing things that will help everybody. If you could do those 3 things, your life will be a lot more fulfilling. And so I think that is one of the biggest takeaways I'm getting from this is that's such great advice, that was your goals, you did it. And that for anybody listening, just start with 1. If you're like, all 3 of those seem too much. And instead of, some people aren't gym people, I would say anything out in nature, go take a walk, go run, whatever you want to do. If you're like, I can't afford a gym or blah, 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 just start with one of them. Find a church, volunteer your time, and then gym or outside. And I think those 3 things encompass all together our well-being and our health.
And it's crazy how it kind of just went in line. You know, because I knew my friends, like, were Christians and stuff, and I didn't know how we were gonna, because, sometimes your friendships kind of fade away, But she just came right in there, and she's like, well, we go to this church. Are you going to come Sunday? And I had just moved Friday.
You're like, okay, I guess I am.
Yeah, I am. Okay. And at the same time, they were opening a food pantry that I didn't know they were that close and starting to open.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm one of the only ones that have started with the pantry.
Wow.
And I'm still there after a year.
That's awesome. And isn't it fulfilling to give? Like when we volunteer our time, we forget about our troubles momentarily. Like I think it's so good to then be helping other people. It's one of the best things we can do. Is being
very rewarding and enjoy it. And met a lot of nice people, great people. And I kind of went on Facebook, and they were like, hey, 50 and over to join this gym for 6 weeks.
Perfect. Yeah.
And I just kind of went in line last year when I moved here.
That's awesome.
And I'm still going to the gym. I kind of took some time periods off, but I still go.
That's
and
awesome.
I worked with a trainer for a year because I thought, okay, I don't know nothing about the gym. I have never done the gym before. I'd exercise at home, but to work on that equipment, like I'm gonna need some.
Yes. No, I get it. I've been.
I want to do it right,
Yes.
And so now I'm finally. I have a few more sessions left, and then I'll start going myself, and then I can go whenever I want. But I just needed that.
Yes.
And my daughter was shocked. I think my daughter was really impressed with me.
That's awesome.
That I kept up with this, because she'd asked me in between, still going to the gym?
Yep. No, I love it. I've been with a trainer for 6 months now. I just finished my 6 months, and I love it. Now I feel way more confident. Like, I've worked out gyms and stuff, but I'd never done all the weights. That was the thing that I was like, it's intimidating when it's all these men around you, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. And you think they're looking at you and all this stuff. Like, what is she doing? So it's nice to have a trainer who's like, okay, this is how you do it. And so I really loved that. Now I'm like empowered. I'm like, I'm the only girl here. Look at me. Like I don't feel so scared anymore. So I think having a trainer is an amazing experience. And it's definitely helped me.
Really, yeah, like you said, it's like you feel intimidated by all these people. Like,
yeah. Then you learn how to do it, and then you just start feeling strong. And it's like as we age, women over the 35 start losing, I can't remember how much muscle per year. It's a lot. It's the best thing as women over 35 that we can do is to do resistance training and weightlifting. It doesn't have to be huge weights, but it helps our body so much, against breaking bones and falling and like all of these things. The more I research it, it's like one of the best things. Like I used to just do running, and that's okay, but it's a little hard on your body as you get older too. And then adding in the weights is huge. It's not even about the cardio anymore. I'm not a runner. Yeah.
I'm not a runner. So I was like, I needed something with like weights and strength training and
I've actually learned, I listened to tons of podcasts about all this stuff, that the best thing, they were talking about like 40 and over, forget doing all the cardio. It's really weight training and walking. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Those are the two things we need. That it actually puts more stress if we're doing all like the tons of cardio. So I still do some, but not as much. I love Zumba. That's my favorite, to go take a Zumba class because I love dancing. But I'm not stressed out to go running every day and all these things, because it's actually raises your cortisol, which holds, then your body holds on to fat. Like I've learned so much that it's not like the old school thinking, like that you have to be doing cardio in order to burn all these calories and all that. But if we just simply walk, like I aim for my 10,000 steps every day, I don't always get it. But I aim for that and wait, then I feel good. Anyways, we got way off the sidetrack, but I think it's so important
awesome.
as widows that we need to take care of our bodies, and hopefully this inspires people to say, hey, you know what? Carol and Michelle did it. Like, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to figure out what that's about. And it's actually, you can get good deals. And your health is worth it. Less than a cup of coffee a day, to go to the gym. So,
well, that's exactly what I thought about. It's like, okay, okay, so I was always exercising. Okay, back in the day it was Denise Austin.
Oh my gosh, yeah, like
4:30 in the morning. So it was before I went to work.
Wow.
I would get up extra early and do my 30 minutes
or something.
I don't know if she really did jazzercise, but
I don't know.
whatever she did. She had used the weights and stepper, and she did some cardio and stuff. And when Tom got sick, everything stopped. And then that's when I realized, when I was moving here, I was like, okay, I need to take care of myself again.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I'm in a big city now. I need to start going to the gym.
Yeah.
And getting myself together. And to me, it was like going to the gym was like, okay, if I'm investing money in this, it's going to push me to go do it.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, I'm using my membership. Like, I'm not going to like be a member and not go. Like, I'm paying for this. And so, yeah, I think it's been one of the most empowering things I've done in the last 6 months. Is I signed up for 6 months. I just ended, but now I was doing 4 times a month. Now I'm just going to do once a month. But I've gone every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So like once a week I have the trainer. The other 2 days I do it on my own. I just do what we did. And so I think it's one of the things I most highly recommend is doing weights.
Well, it was like, I had a car accident end of December, and so I had to take some time off because I hurt the jolting. And then I was in a lighter car accident months after that.
Oh.
And I took like a couple weeks off. And my trainer at the time, I have a different one now because my trainer left.
Oh, sad.
But he was just like he was like a few years younger than my kids. So it's like, he was like one of my sons,
Yeah.
And then when I lost my son, he's like, oh, Carol. And then I came back like probably after 3 weeks. And he's like, Carol, how many times have you had whatever going on in your life and you keep coming back? You're determined.
Yeah.
You have determination.
Yes.
And he's like, a lot of people, they would have quit a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so that kind of really felt good.
Yes.
He was a really great guy. But yeah, he went and got a different kind of job, he just like, you don't give up.
That's awesome. It's a great quality.
So that's what I want to say to everybody is just keep going.
That's right.
There is life out there, and we lost them, but they didn't make up of our whole life. We had something before we met them.
True. Yep.
We are our own person, and I just feel so bad for some of those widows that just cannot get unstuck.
Yeah.
I just feel like some of them just still stay stuck.
They do. Yep.
And there is life out there. We just gotta just do it.
Yeah.
And never give up.
That's good.
And strive for something.
That's so good. Well, thanks, Carol. This has been really amazing to hear your story. You've been through a lot of determination and setting goals, and I love it. And I know that you're going to inspire people literally all over the world. We're in I think it's 96 countries now. So people all over the world are going to hear your story, and we appreciate it. So I'd love to, I'm going to close by praying for you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Dear God, I just thank you so much for Carol. Thank you for giving her the bravery to come here and to share her story. Thank you for being the reason she keeps going. Thank you for the good people you've put in her life and the church and just all the good things she has going on in her gym and just all the blessings. And I just pray that you go into her heart and continue to heal those cracks that are still hurting with her son and her husband's and all the grief she's been through. I just pray that you continue to heal her. And I just pray the story goes out to everyone who needs to hear it, literally all over the world. Pray for all the listeners today that you would cover with them with the peace that passes all understanding, that they will be inspired from Carol's story, that if she can make it with all she's been through, then they can make it too. And we just thank you for all you've done. Amen.
Amen.
Well, if you liked this podcast, give it a little bing, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. Please join our Facebook group. Remember, we have 2 groups. So our big group is now 7,300 as of today, I believe. It's growing crazy. So there's a link that you can join, or you can join our small group, which are actually all podcast listeners. There's a link below. If you'd like to be a guest, please fill out the form and you too can have your story shared. So anyways, thanks again, Carol. It was really, really awesome. Yeah. We really appreciate you being here, and we will talk to you guys next time. Bye.